If you think the dead stay quiet, you've never worked a night shift in Harbor City. Things that should stay buried tend to claw their way back up, and lately, they've been coming straight for me. Before we dive in, hit subscribe and drop a like. You'll want front row seats for what follows. I had just wrapped a 14-hour rotation at the Harbor City Police Department when the call came in. Coast Guard reports debris from a missing ferry off the Atlantic line. Possible survivors drifting toward our shoreline. Perfect. Another disaster on a week already drowning in them. When I reached Pier 19, the rain was knifing sideways, turning the whole place into a wet concrete graveyard. The rescue crew hauled in 7 survivors, though I'd heard earlier it was 9. That discrepancy alone made my gut twitch. Numbers don't shrink unless someone wants them to. One stretcher held a little girl, 5, maybe 6, barely breathing. Another carried a young woman who looked even younger than the ID clipped to her soaked backpack. Helen Ross, age 19, newly married, husband missing. She gripped a battered travel book like it was the only thing keeping her alive. Paramedics moved fast, but the eyes of the survivors said enough. Whatever happened out there wasn't just rough weather. I might have walked away, chalking this up to another maritime tragedy, but Wilson, one of our logistics officers, pulled me aside. "Detective McKenna," he said, looking everywhere except at me. "We've got inventory gaps in 3 supply depots. Military rations, medicines, the works. The managers swear they're clean. I know they're not. Normally, I would have told him to file a report like everyone else, but Wilson wasn't stupid, only scared. And scared men don't come to me unless they're cornered." "Who's behind it?" I asked. He swallowed. "Yusuf Calder's crew, of course. Calder had a hand in everything ugly in this city. Smuggling, intimidation, bribes disguised as favors. And every time we got close, someone upstairs pulled the leash." Then Wilson added something that hit harder than the rain. "There are rumors you're close to Calder, that you two are friendly." I laughed because the alternative was decking him. "I talk to everyone," I said. "That's the job." But he kept staring like he wanted to peel the truth off my face. Before I could answer, a flashlight beam caught movement behind a stack of cargo crates, a young kid bolting into the dark. Someone listening. Someone reporting. Great. Calder's fingerprints were already on the scene. I didn't know then that the girl with the travel book, the vanished husband, Calder's little arrangements, and the ferry disaster were all threads in the exact same noose. And that noose was already tightening around me. By the next morning, Harbor City felt heavier, like the asphalt itself knew something was off. I barely slept, just paced circles in my apartment replaying the pier, the stretcher cases, the kid who ran, Wilson's accusations lingering like spoiled air. At 9:14 a.m., dispatch called. "Detective McKenna, survivor from Pier 19 requesting you specifically." That made no sense. Victims don't request detectives, not unless they're afraid of someone else. When I stepped into the temporary shelter the city had rigged together from old Navy prefab huts, I found Helen Ross, wrapped in blankets, staring at the flickering light like it might attack her. "You changed my bulb last night," she said as soon as she saw me. "I didn't." Her brows pinched. "Right, sorry, everything blurs." She looked fragile as cracked glass, but her voice was steadier than expected. "Can you stay a minute?" she asked. "Just until the storm dies down." I shouldn't have. I'm good at rules, or used to be. But something in her tone made me pause. Inside the hut, someone had donated mismatched furniture and a half-empty bottle of cheap gin. Helen poured 2 shots without waiting for permission. I didn't drink, she noticed. "So, detective, are you going to tell me why you keep checking that door?" "Habit," I lied. "You're a terrible liar." She tried smiling. It didn't hold. During our conversation, she mentioned the travel book she'd been clutching on the pier. "It was my husband's," she said quietly. "He collected city maps, said they were like memories you could carry." "And you think he didn't make it?" Her fingers tightened around the cup. "I think someone made sure he didn't." She didn't elaborate, which means she knew more than she felt safe saying. When I left the hut, sunlight finally cracked through the clouds. It should have felt better than it did. Back at HQ, the commissioner summoned me. His office always smelled like old paper and extinguished cigars. "McKenna," he said, "Colonel Wright from Internal Oversight is here. He has concerns." That word, concerns, in our department means someone already decided whose head they want. Wright studied me like a lab sample. "We hear the smuggling case involves Yusuf Calder," he said. "We also hear you've been visiting with him." I didn't blink. "I visit people who commit crimes, that's policing." Wright steepled his fingers. "Calder claims he's given you money." "Has he?" the commissioner asked, carefully neutral. "No." They exchanged a glance that said they didn't believe me or didn't care if I was telling the truth. When they finally dismissed me, I headed straight to Calder's shop, a narrow storefront pretending to sell electronics while half the city knew it was a front. Calder greeted me with a smile that meant trouble. "Detective," he said, "you look tired, trouble sleeping, conscience eating at you." "You framed Tollett," I said, cutting straight through. "Tell me the truth." His smile faltered. "I always tell you the truth," he said softly. "The diamonds were mine." I felt my jaw tighten. "You made a fool of me." "If I wanted to, detective, I could make far worse of you." Then, like he'd been waiting for the moment, he added, "Oh, and that young woman from the ferry, Helen Ross, her husband boarded with a sealed envelope meant for me." My pulse kicked. "Where is it?" "Gone missing." Calder shrugged. "People die, belongings disappear. But when a package meant for me vanishes, that is never an accident." Suddenly the wreck, the survivor count, the missing husband, all of it snapped into alignment. Someone wasn't just stealing supplies. Someone was removing witnesses. And Helen Ross was next on that list. By sunset, Harbor City felt like it was holding its breath. Every instinct I had, the ones that saved my skin more times than training ever did, told me someone was closing in on Helen Ross, and by extension on me. Before checking on her, I sifted through the ferry's incident logs. Most of it was sanitized nonsense: rogue wave, engine failure, recovery in progress. But one note stood out: 2 passengers unaccounted for witnessed near restricted cargo deck. 2. Helen's husband and someone else. Whoever that someone was, they hadn't turned up alive. At 8:47 p.m., I headed to the row of prefab huts behind the transport yard. Rain hammered the metal roofs with the rhythm of a ticking clock. When I knocked, Helen opened the door instantly, as if she'd been waiting right behind it. "You came," she whispered. She looked wired, afraid, exhausted, and trying hard not to show it. The book of travel maps lay open on the table, pages warped by sea water. "Did something happen?" I asked. "Yes. Someone tried the door. Twice." "Did you see who?" "No, but detective, I swear someone's been reading my things, touching them." I believed her. People in danger develop instincts sharper than radar. "Listen," I said, keeping my voice low. "Calder told me your husband boarded the ferry with a package meant for him." Her breath hitched. "I knew it. I knew he was involved with something. He told me there were people he had to meet once we docked. He called it a favor. A last favor, last." The word felt like a bullet. "And what about the envelope?" I asked. She shook her head. "He never showed it to me, said the less I knew the safer I'd be." That line always means the opposite. Before I could dig further, heavy footsteps scraped outside the hut. Helen froze. I reached for the small service pistol I wasn't technically supposed to carry off duty. Then a voice drifted through the door, arrogant, slurred, unmistakably familiar. "Helen, it's me, Freddie Baxter. Come on, sweetheart, open up." I rolled my eyes so hard it hurt. Baxter, one of the Navy intelligence boys stationed nearby. Harmless by day, irritating by night, drunk by midnight. Helen mouthed. "Don't answer." I stepped outside. Baxter blinked, confusion turning to embarrassment. "Oh, detective, didn't know she had company." "You need to leave," I said. "I'm just checking on her." "Leave." He left, but not before muttering something about secretive girls and ungrateful company. When I returned inside, Helen exhaled shakily. "See, that's what I'm dealing with. I hate it here. I hate this place. I hate needing anyone." She paced, running her fingers through her damp hair. Then, "Detective McKenna, why are you helping me? You don't need anything from me." "I don't let people get hunted in my city," I said simply. That seemed to land. She sat down, pulled her knees up, staring at the stained page of her husband's travel book. I wrote you a letter, she said suddenly, slipped it under your door last night. I never got it. Her face went pale. Then someone took it. There it was, the missing piece I hadn't realized I'd been waiting for. If someone intercepted a personal letter addressed to me, they weren't just watching her. They were watching us closely. Her voice dropped. Detective, I'm scared. I think I'm in the way. And when people are in the way, bad things happen to them. I didn't say the obvious that she was right. That someone had already marked her as a loose end. Instead, I said, no one's touching you. Not while I'm breathing. She looked up at me with something between relief and warning. Then my phone buzzed, a single message from an unknown number. We need to talk. Now, called her. Perfect timing. Because if anyone knew who murdered Helen's husband, or who wanted her silent, it was him. Calder didn't choose public places. He preferred corners where shadows outnumbered people. Tonight, he picked the back-loading dock of an abandoned warehouse near Harbor Point, quiet, secluded, and very possibly a setup. Classic Calder risk management. I parked 2 blocks away and came in on foot, rain slicking the pavement. The rolling bay doors sat half open, faint light leaking through like a bad secret. He was waiting inside, immaculate as always, drinking something expensive from a chipped mug, a Calder signature move. Fancy taste, ugly cup. Detective McKenna, he said without turning. You're punctual, that means you're nervous. I'm here because your text sounded like a threat. It wasn't. If I wanted to threaten you, detective, I'd do it properly. He finally faced me, expression unreadable. You asked about the envelope your young survivor's husband carried, he said. I will tell you one thing, whatever was inside it, someone was willing to kill for it. The ferry was no accident. I didn't react, not outwardly. And you, I asked, what's your stake? Let's say the envelope was a payment. For what? For staying quiet about something. He didn't elaborate, classic smuggler play. Instead, he stepped closer. I heard about the girl visiting you. Staying in those government huts. Someone's been asking about her, someone not mine. Who? A boy, Calder said. Young, fast, works for Wilson. My jaw locked. Wilson. That explained the shadow behind the crates at the pier, the missing letter, the constant feeling of being tailed. Calder kept going. Your logistics boy is ambitious. Ambition without intelligence is dangerous. I started to speak, but he lifted a hand. And before you ask, yes, I've seen the diamonds circulating the city. And no, I did not kill the girl's husband. If I wanted him gone, he'd have vanished clean, not inside a mass casualty event. Then who did it? Someone who panicked, Calder said. Someone who needed everyone on that ferry silent. He let that hang. Then he added, Detective, you are in deeper than you realize. You've tied yourself to the girl, whether you admit it or not. And your fan club upstairs is sniffing around your finances. They think I gave you money. They're wrong. Of course they are, but truth is irrelevant. Optics are everything. He turned away, signaling the meeting was over. Go home, McKenna, he said quietly, before someone decides you're a loose end too. I didn't go home. I went straight to Helen. When I reached her hut, her light was off. I knocked once. No answer. Second time, still nothing. Then a whisper through the door, is it you? Yeah, open up. She let me in quickly, locking the door behind her like she expected it to break at any second. You look worse than I do, she said, trying for humor but not getting close. Before I could respond, she held out something wrapped in a hand towel. I found this under my mattress. I unwrapped it. A diamond, small but perfectly cut. A stone worth more than most people's homes. My pulse spiked. Where did this come from? I demanded. I don't know, she whispered. But someone wanted me to find it. No, someone wanted me to find it. Someone wanted to tie us both to Calder to paint the picture they needed. Helen, I said carefully, has anyone else gone through your things? She hesitated. My boy, she said. The one who brings food and water, he's strange, always watching. And yesterday I swear he was whispering with another kid outside. Kids, runners, couriers, the city's underground grapevine. Describe them. She did, and the description matched exactly: Wilson's runner and Calder's half-brother's boy, both sides. Both watching her, perfect. Exactly the kind of crossfire that gets innocent people erased. I pocketed the diamond. Helen, grab your coat. Where are we going? Somewhere they won't find you. But they're everywhere, detective. Not where I'm taking you. I didn't add the part I was thinking. They're not after you anymore. They're after us. I didn't have an official safe house, but I had something better. A place everyone forgot existed, the Old North warehouse. No cameras, no night patrols, no supervisors checking logs. Exactly the kind of spot where people disappear only if someone really wants them gone. Helen stayed quiet during the drive, hugging her coat tighter every time a car passed behind us. When fear sets in, it rewires a person, and she was already halfway rebuilt. Inside the warehouse, the air smelled of wet concrete and dust. She walked in slowly, scanning every corner. "It's ugly," she said. "It's safe," I replied. "That's better than pretty." I set her up in the back office, one desk, one chair, no windows. She sat, eyes fixed on the diamond I'd laid between us. "My husband said certain things are worth more than money," she murmured, "because of who wants them. And who wanted this," she swallowed, "people he shouldn't have worked with." Then it came out, a job offer from a nameless company paying in thick cash envelopes. No website, no contracts. Moving information, he'd told her, and he'd taken the offer because they promised it was quick and clean. Nothing about this was clean. Before I could dig deeper, my phone buzzed. "Wilson." I stepped aside. "Detective," he said, voice shaky. "Stop protecting the girl. You don't know who you're up against." "Who?" Silence. "Then, if you keep this up, you'll go down with her." He hung up. Not a warning, a message, straight from whoever was pulling his strings. I returned to the office and found Helen flipping through the water-warped pages of her husband's travel map book. One page had a hidden pocket sliced open, empty. "He hid something here," she whispered. "It's gone." "Who touched this book besides you?" "Baxter," she said. "The drunk Navy guy. He kept asking about it." Perfect. Naval intelligence sniffing around, Calder's crew circling, and Wilson's runners shadowing us. 3 predators, 1 target. The building lights flickered, then went black. "Helen," I whispered. A beat of silence. Then the lights snapped back on, too bright, humming like they'd been shocked awake. The office door behind me was wide open. "Helen," I called, stepping in. She wasn't there. The chair was overturned. The travel book lay face down, pages bent as if torn from her grip. On the desk, taped exactly where the diamond had been, was a note, jagged letters cut from a newspaper. "Stop, SHE doesn't belong to you." Below it, another line. "You know who she belongs to." No, I didn't, but I knew this. Whoever took her didn't intend to keep her breathing for long. And they wanted me to chase. They wanted me desperate. And they were about to get both. Whoever took Helen moved clean, no noise, no struggle, no signature. That meant pros or insiders. The footprints in the warehouse dust confirmed it. 2 kids, runners. One from Wilson's side, one tied to Calder. Both networks circling her like sharks. I called Calder immediately. "You lost something tonight," he said before I spoke. "Did you take her?" "No, if I had, you wouldn't be guessing. Someone wants leverage. Someone using her to get to you." Perfect. That narrowed it down to everyone. "And the diamond?" "Planted," Calder replied. "Someone wants internal oversight to think you and I are partners." Exactly the trap I'd been expecting. "Detective," he added, "if naval intelligence took her, you're late already." He hung up. I drove straight to Logistics HQ. Wilson was pacing the supply cage like a dying engine. "I didn't take her," he blurted. "I tried to warn you, they're using me." "Who?" "Naval intelligence, Baxter's crew. He's not just a drunk, that's cover. They think Helen's husband stole something from them." "What?" "I don't know," Wilson said. "Coordinates, codes, data, something sensitive. Whatever was in that envelope, he wasn't delivering it to Calder. It was bigger. And Helen, she's the only one who might know where he hid the original copy. There it was. She wasn't bait. She was the key." "Where is she?" Wilson swallowed hard. "Old South Pier, naval storage building, condemned on paper, active in reality." I didn't wait another second. South Pier looked like a graveyard of metal skeletons. The condemned building sat alone, floodlights buzzing overhead. I slipped inside through a broken vent. Voices echoed from deeper in. She knows something. She'll talk. I crept up to the doorway. Inside, 3 naval intelligence men, 1 bulb and Helen tied to a chair, refusing to break. "Tell us where your husband hid it," one demanded. Her voice cracked, but her stare didn't. "Do your worst." He raised a hand. "Touch her," I said, stepping in, "and you won't walk out." Guns came up. I fired first. 1 down, another dove behind crates. The 3rd charged me. We crashed into a metal shelf, fought for the gun, and I slammed him to the floor. The 2nd popped up to shoot. I tackled him before he could fire. Seconds later, the room was still. I cut Helen free. Her hands trembled, but her voice didn't. "Detective," I thought, "you're safe now." She looked at the fallen agents. "They kept asking about the envelope. They think I know where he hid the data." "Do you?" She hesitated, then nodded. "I think I do." Before I could press further, headlights swept through the building's shattered windows, bright, slow, deliberate. Not naval intelligence. Not Calder, someone else. Helen grabbed my arm. "Detective, who found us?" I didn't answer. Couldn't, but whoever it was, they weren't here to negotiate. They were here to finish the job. The headlights didn't just illuminate the room, they sliced through it like a scalpel. Slow, controlled, deliberate. Not the arrival of someone searching. The arrival of someone who already knew exactly where we were. I pulled Helen behind a stack of metal crates and crouched low. She pressed so close I felt her heartbeat hammering against my back. The black SUV rolled to a stop. No rush. No panic. A door opened, and the commissioner stepped out. Not Calder, not naval intel, not Wilson, my own boss. He walked inside with the calm of someone entering his office, not a condemned warehouse filled with unconscious federal agents. "Detective McKenna," he called, voice echoing off the steel beams. "Let's not drag this out. Stand up." I stepped into view but kept my pistol low and ready. Helen remained hidden behind the crates, breathing sharp and fast. "Didn't expect you," I said. "Of course not," he replied. "That's why I'm still alive after 30 years in this city." He surveyed the bodies around us, the agents I'd put down with mild disappointment, as if someone had dented his car door. "You always had a habit of complicating simple instructions," he continued. "You should have stayed away from the girl." "Her name is Helen," I snapped. He raised an eyebrow. "Not for much longer." Helen's hand gripped my coat. I took a step forward. "Explain." He exhaled, tired with the weight of bureaucracy rather than morality. The envelope her husband carried contained access protocols to a federal surveillance network. Not smuggling, not diamonds. A system used to monitor cross-border intelligence routes. It wasn't supposed to leak. "And it did," I said. He nodded. "Your survivor's husband stole it, and he passed it to someone before the ferry left port. After that, he became expendable." "Expendable," I repeated. "He was murdered. Call it what you want," he replied, "but the system had to be protected. And Helen, she's the last loose end. Whether she realizes it or not, she knows where the data went." Helen stiffened behind me. I stared him down. "So what, you hand her over to naval intel, let them erase her?" He tilted his head. "That was the plan. But you took her and you made things political." His hand drifted toward his jacket. I fired a warning shot into the concrete. The commissioner froze. "Careful, detective," he said quietly. "One more bad decision and you'll become part of the cleanup. Won't be the first time someone tried." He studied me, calculating, weighing what I was worth and what I wasn't. Then, surprisingly, he stepped back. "You're choosing the wrong side," he said. "You can save your badge or save the girl, not both." "You don't get to decide that," I said. "I already did." His voice softened with something like pity. "Your career ends tonight." He walked out. No threats, no shouting, no panic, just certainty. The SUV rolled away into the darkness with the confidence of someone who believes they've already won. Helen collapsed into the nearest chair, shaking as if the ground had vanished beneath her. "Detective, what do we do now?" "We run," I said. "Right now." She looked at me like she wanted to believe that was enough, but we both knew running would only buy us hours. Still, hours can save lives. Out on the docks, the city lights flickered against the water, reflecting a version of Harbor City that looked calmer than it deserved. I didn't trust calm. Calm meant ambush. We reached my car. Helen clutched her husband's travel book like it was the last piece of him she had left. "Detective, there's something I remembered." "What is it?" "Page 17. He circled something the day before we boarded. He told me it was just a place he wanted to see. But now," she swallowed, "now I think he meant it as a fallback." I opened the book. The damaged page 17 held a route leading inland, winding through the woods north of the city, ending at an old ranger station long abandoned and removed from official maps. Not a place to hide, a place to bury something, a place to recover it later. "Whatever he stole," I said, "he hid there, and now everyone wants it." "Exactly." Helen hugged herself, trembling. "If we go there, there's no going back, is there?" "There wasn't going back 2 days ago," I said, "but now we choose the direction." She nodded slowly, accepting it or forcing herself to. We got into the car, engine on. City behind us, a federal nightmare ahead. As we pulled out, Helen whispered, "Detective, why are you still helping me? You could walk away." "Because someone has to be the one who doesn't." For a moment, she closed her eyes. "I hope that's enough." I didn't answer because I wasn't sure. We drove north, leaving Harbor City fading behind, swallowed by its own corruption. The road ahead was dark, empty, dangerous. Exactly what we needed. Thanks for riding through this entire case. Hit subscribe, leave a like, and tell me in the comments. Would you reveal the truth, even if it meant losing everything, or disappear before the city swallows you whole?